Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am here on our Spotlight series with my good friend, Mike Machin of Machine Studios. Mike, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you? Good to see you,
Good.
man.
Likewise, likewise. So, tell us a little bit about how you got into this business, because a sticker business, and I want people to understand this, right? Your business is very niche, and it's a very, very successful business. So I want people to understand that there are absolute riches in these niches if you get into them and you have the right type of client and the right audience. So how did you start this? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Um, is it cool if I give you some context, like some background stuff? Because
Absolutely.
that sort of leads into why I ended up printing stickers. Because okay, so as a youngster, I was a graffiti writer. I still am. I'm just not like a degenerate, fucking up your property kind of dude anymore. But I was, and I ran around in those circles, and I experienced all the ups and downs and goods and bads of that culture. So as I'm young, you get that invincible sort of feeling, and you're running around with a lot of kind of dangerous people, and you're seeing a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't necessarily be exposed to had I been doing a different hobby. And so as I got older, I got into entrepreneurship, and I wanted to use my artistic, talents as somewhat of an outlet. So my first business was a motion graphics company. So in 2002, I started a business. We were doing motion graphics, and we did lots of stuff for TV shows, lots of cable, pretty much every cable network we were doing work for. So lots of like title graphics, 3D animations. And so it's an artistic endeavor, but it's more of a commercial type of thing. So you have a client and they have a need, and you're creating art to fill that need. It's not like, hey, here's some shit I painted. Am I allowed to cuss on this? Is that
Yeah, of
okay?
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's some
Anything.
shit I painted. You want to buy it? Like, it's not like that kind of art, but at least you can do some kind of artistic stuff. So when I was doing that, I was still active in the graffiti culture in different ways, more in the legal stuff and like kind of the more stuff in the background, not the in your face kind of stuff, more artistic type of things. And then as I got older and started seeing some success in business, and I've always been a responsible guy. Even when I was young, like I was always on time. I would do the graffiti stuff, but I never was never late for work. I never called in sick. So I always had that kind of work ethic about me. And so as I'm getting older and I'm starting to feel a little bit more drawn to giving back to the community, that's when I shifted from the motion graphics stuff to start wanting to give back to the graffiti culture in a more positive way, and kind of, you know, share some of the ideas and things that I had learned through entrepreneurship and through just kind of getting older and getting more responsible, to try to help guide some of these youngsters that are getting into the culture, because I was really familiar with a lot of things they were going to be faced with and a lot of things they were going to see just being in there. So what I ended up doing in 2015 was I opened a community space in San Pedro, California, and all that really was uh, just an empty space with a table in the middle, and then we had sketchbooks, and the kids could come in and draw, or any graffiti writers, but mainly it was like a lot of youngsters would come in. Excuse me. And then so that was pretty much what it was. And we were having art shows and things, and trying to just create this like space, like a safe legal venue for the people to come and express themselves, and then showcase their work in like monthly art shows and stuff like that. And so obviously that's kind of expensive to just run a space, and there's no money coming in. So
Yep.
that's where I started kind of like going, well, maybe we could sell some things. We started selling different graffiti supplies and stuff like that. And then oddly enough, this one kid came in, and he's in the graffiti culture, we call stickers slaps or slap tags. It's like
Okay.
you put your little graffiti name on it. And that's just another way of kind of getting your name out there, is with the sticker. So a kid asked me, he's like, hey, you guys print slaps here? And I was like, that's weird that he would think like we would just be printing here. Like, that's kind of strange. So I didn't think much of it. And then another kid asked the same thing, a whole different person. And I was like, well, two people asked, so this is something they want, And I had some background in screen printing when I went to art school to study design. I got really into screen printing there. So I was like, at this part of my life, like I had gone all in on that whole little venture. So I moved out of my house and I lived in the back of that space that I was talking about with the table. So it was just me and my dogs back there, and it was this really weird existence. It was like there was no kitchen, no shower, it was just like a toilet in the corner with a weird like makeshift sink, and I showered at the Y. Like I had this kind of weird like all in kind of existence.
Yep.
And so I was really into like DIY and shit like that,
Yep.
building this kind of space. I was building shelves and things. So after the second kid asked me about the stickers, I was like, I can build this table with a vacuum on it to suck the sheet down and build a screen printing little thing. And long story short, I just started screen printing stickers with this sort of homemade screen printing press kind of thing. And after a while, I started looking. We were growing the other business too, was phasing out of the motion graphics and growing more of the products, selling like specialty paints for artwork and things like that. And so as I'm growing all that stuff, I'm looking at the analytics and Shopify, and I'm like, well, this is crazy. Like every single month, stickers is at the top. So I should probably take this a little more seriously. And I was printing them all by hand. So the bottleneck was me, obviously, as we all know. That's how it works in most businesses. So that's when I invested in a high-end piece of equipment that was more automated. It'll print, it'll suck the sheet back in, then it'll cut all the stickers out, and we could do more offerings. And then, so fast forward to now, we have about, how many machines? 12 or 13 machines. We're printing laminated stickers and all kinds of different shapes and all this different stuff. And it all spawned from, one of the what is it called? The core focus of our business, or the phrase that you might say, it's we provide what graffiti writers need.
Yep.
And so stickers fell into that. But, like you were talking about in the niches, it was like, obviously graffiti writers that want stickers is a pretty small niche, but it was also a really good way for us to get into that business and sort of already have a customer base that was
captive,
already following us and stuff. So now we print for everybody. I mean, we just did a run for like Homeland Security stickers and just like all kinds of weird shit, like, so our customers are all over the place. Like sometimes we print for like OnlyFans girls or like churches. It's just like it's everywhere, all over the map, including and graffiti writers still. And so that, it's a long one, but I just wanted to kind of give a context of why I ended up where I ended up,
Yeah, no, that's important. So how long did it take you to actually go through the data? At what point in the business and see that, hey, stickers are up top, this is probably what I should be focusing on? When did you have that aha moment? Like how long in?
I don't know, maybe a year or two into printing stickers. And it didn't take long. I mean, the data is really easy to read when you're looking at it on that like really remedial sort of level. It's just like that number's at the top and it's bigger than the rest of them. It's like, I didn't dive in that much further than that. And I was like, well, and I went back every month and I was like, every month it's at the top and it's the highest, the biggest number. So better figure this out. The first piece of equipment was $20,000 and contrast that to some homemade shit that I made from wood that I bought at Home Depot. It was kind of like, it was a hard thing to decide. I had a friend that was coming in and I was telling him I was thinking about getting this machine. He's like, well, how much do you make a week on stickers, or how much do you make a month on stickers? Yep. And I told him, and he was like, it's like the same shit you told me every time I call you to buy some equipment. well, how long will it take you to pay that off? And I was like, well, about this long. He's like, well, I guess there's your answer. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I better buy this thing, you know? And that really, getting that machine really was the sort of the catalyst, you know, because it sped up the productivity. It allowed us to offer more complex things to the customers. And then that just snowballed into, you know, all kinds of different equipment and stuff, and staff, of course. Yeah.
One goes with the other.
Yeah. You got to have people to run those things. So.
Okay. And what was that moment that you said, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur? Like, when did you realize that you're not employable, or not, you don't want to be employable and you want to run your own show?
I have to, I don't know if there was like a specific moment, but when I think back to the 90s, I mean, I got into the workforce. Well, I got into the workforce when I was really young. So when I was 10, I was delivering newspapers. So I was essentially a contractor, because you had to buy all your own newspapers and rubber bands, and then collect shit from money from the customers. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was a little, it was a little more being in business for yourself than I thought I was when I was 10. You know, my parents used to say that, oh, you're in business for yourself. You don't have a job because you're buying all the stuff. And it didn't make any sense to me. So, but anyway, so like when I really entered the actual workforce working for an employer was in 80, shit, I don't know, 88, something like that. And I did that until about 97. And I think it was when I went to college to study design when I realized that I didn't want to work for somebody else. Because when I thought about all the jobs I had, it was miserable. Even people that treated me well, which was only one employer, everybody else treated me like shit, like most, you know, people are used to. But it was that idea that the minute you wake up in the morning, you wish it was whatever time it is when your day is over, like, because you're dreading the whole day. And that's just how that was my existence. So I'd wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd be like, man, I can't wait till 7 o'clock tonight when I'm back home, you know. And it was like, that can't be it, you know. And so in college, when I was studying design, I knew I was going to start my own motion graphics company, because I was like, I don't want to live like that. You know, I don't feel like, well, at least my version of entrepreneurship, the way that it's working for me, it's not like I have all this freedom, you know, like my customers are still my employers in a sense, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's not the answer to people, but at the same time, it just feels better than waking up in the morning and dreading the whole day, you know? So I don't know if I have a specific aha moment, but it was like, in retrospect, when I go back through being employed, it was just so miserable. I don't ever want to do that again, you know?
I'm with you. You know, what is one of the biggest missions you have with the studio?
Well, so I have a couple of different missions. So with our company, what we're doing, and I talk to my team about this all the time, we're building, it's going to be the most iconic brand that the graffiti culture has ever seen in history. So that's what we're shooting for. And when I tell them, they're probably sick of hearing this, but I always say, you know, it's not because we're all going to be rich and everything's cool like that, we're going to have all that stuff, but I want to show everybody what's possible. And our customer base are graffiti writers, so a lot of them they may not see, you know, a lot of opportunity in being able to create things that are in line with what they want to do. So it's like, let me see if I can explain this right. So as a graffiti writer, if you want to get into making money and still follow your passion, a lot of times it goes over to other industries. So like for me, it was graphic design. It kind of makes sense because you're doing typography with graffiti. It translates well over to graphic design, over to sign painting, over to tattooing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So people find success in that, but I want them to see something that was built that they didn't think was possible, like within the graffiti culture. And so what we're trying to build is like this, the facility that we're trying to make is like this great big thing that has a huge gallery and all this kind of stuff where people can come and express themselves. And then outside there's a huge bunch of walls where they can paint, and a really cool like gathering place where people, the idea is like the place is so cool that people want to fly from other parts of the world just to go paint at Machine or hang out at Machine and go to a show there. And so in addition to that, obviously, creating these cool experiences for our team, because it's like it's kind of an interesting place to be employed, and so I always tell them, I was like, I don't want it to be this compromise where you work at a cool place, but you got to be broke. You know what I mean? Like, I want you guys all to have all your things that you want, like your dream cars or houses or whatever those things are for you. If it's boats or I don't know, whatever it is. I don't want it to be a compromise. I want you to be able to work at this cool place doing all this cool shit and also achieve your financial goals within this company. In addition to that, I always tell them, because personal development is part of our culture, and it's kind of written into our core values. And we read together, and we have like a little book club, and we meet every Friday, and we read the same books and shit like that. And so I'm trying to create this environment where personal development is super important. And I tell them, I say, what's critical for us, the bigger we get and the more we focus on all this personal development stuff, you guys are going to go out into the world and other people are going to see you doing this shit, and then they're going to want to do it. And I believe that, America runs essentially on small business. So, I mean, if we're out here creating these environments where people want to get better and be better, then they're going to put that out there in the world when they go out there. It's just going to rub off on people. So there's a lot of different missions there, but a lot of it is just kind of trying to be a better example. And then for my personal shit, like when I have my own personal wealth that I'm like, I don't know what to do all this fucking money. I want to rescue a bunch of dogs, so that's going to be my thing. Yeah. So that's my own thing. It's separate from the business, but like when I have my own personal wealth, that's kind of like I don't really care about material shit. Like, I drive an old van and I still have my 96 Impala that I bought in 1997. It's like, it's a cool car. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Cool.
It's old as shit, but so that's where I want to put my money,
Okay.
It's an animal rescue.
Dig it. So what's one of or a couple of the biggest challenges you faced as an entrepreneur, and how do you overcome
them? Well, one thing that I haven't overcome yet is like the negative what ifs, that we've learned about in Arate and stuff like. Well, I mean, we didn't have to learn about that. We all are. We have those ingrained.
Everyday life.
Yeah, we talk about them. I should say. I haven't overcome that, and I have a really hard time with that. So I have to try to avoid. I have to avoid the media, and I have to stay off of social media as much as possible, which is challenging because we've built, between Instagram and TikTok, we have over 300,000 followers, and I have to kind of maintain those accounts and keep posting content and replying to comments and shit like that. And so sometimes I get sucked in, and I'll see some stuff and hear about some stuff, and I don't need to talk about the stuff that's happening in the world, but it really stresses me out. So, the negative what ifs with things that are completely out of my control, as far as like worldwide shit that may or may never happen, and then shit within business, like a bad customer interaction. You've heard the story of the guy that cost Dell like hundreds of millions of dollars because they did him wrong.
Yeah.
We've never done anybody wrong like that, but like every time like something goes wrong, I kind of worry about shit like that. So that's challenging for me because it's affecting my mental health in a way, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I do a lot of meditation and shit like that. So that's one thing. A challenge that I just recently, I wouldn't say I overcame it, because something could happen and kind of like derail this stuff, but was getting myself out of the day to day. And it's something, obviously, like a lot of us entrepreneurs talk about this all the time. And it's like, it's almost cliche. You got to be working on the business, not in the business. You know what I mean? Everybody says it the same way. So we all say it the same way. So that was a big challenge, but I actually managed to get myself to that point where I no longer have to be in the business running stickers or doing any of that stuff. But that in itself is also challenging because it's like you're sort of in this weird like limbo phase where it's kind of like I haven't quite settled into my new role as the things that I established that I'm going to do. I'm still creating content and doing marketing stuff, but that's why I wanted to get out of the day to day, was to be able to focus more on that. And so now with no pressing, with printing stickers, obviously we have a timeline, like this customer needs their stickers by this time. So when I go in to do that job, it's all laid out for me now. I know exactly what I need to do. Now in this new role, it's a little more ambiguous and it's kind of challenging because it's like I know what I should be doing, but I'm struggling a little bit with focus and distraction and stuff like that. And I think it's part of this kind of transition, at least it is for me, part of this transition of like having a really rigid, I got to go to work and print stickers 8 hours a day to make sure the customers get their shit on time, to I don't have to go to work at all if I don't want to, and I just have to work on big vision and all this sort of stuff. So I have to really focus on structuring and having, I guess it takes a lot more discipline to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do if there's not a pressing deadline. So I'm finding that a little bit challenging.
What do you think some of the keys were for you to work on the business and not in the business?
Well, it turns out, I mean, obviously staff was the biggest thing. But with staff, you have to have systems and, for them to operate on. So it was pretty interesting because it kind of happened all of a sudden. It was like everybody was trained on the systems, but we just didn't quite have enough. The revenue was like, we could almost afford a new person, but kind of would be a little sketchy. And then at one point I was like, we just got to bring in this other person. And once we got that last hire, all of a sudden I would show up and I wouldn't be needed, in the day to day. So it was just obviously the combination of the systems and the team. And so, as you know, there's just tons of shit that goes along with that, like making sure that you're leading them well and training the leaders to lead in the style that you want them to. I'm having our leaders read the same sort of leadership books that I think resonate with how I would like to see us as a team leading the rest of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And just really working hard on creating a culture that everybody, from the person packing boxes to the person leading those teams, that everybody feels, or not feels, everybody knows that they're a critical piece of the puzzle. It's sort of like I tell them stuff like, I know you're packing boxes, but you're the last person you're the last one to get it right. You know what I mean? As far as like, you're putting the shit in the box and sending that to the customer. That's our last opportunity to do it correctly. You know what I mean? So your job is incredibly important. If you don't do it right, everything we did up until then is kind of thrown out the window. They could have this great experience with the customer support team and we get the stuff done on time, and then all of a sudden they get their order and something's wrong. That's going to stand out way more than all the other shit, So it's important for, to make sure everybody knows how important they are and just create a culture like that. At least that's how it is for our business. I think that's for every business, but I don't know every business.
No, that transcends. Right. That's awesome. It's not easy. Those transitions, those changes are not easy. No part of it. I still struggle with it every single day. So I'm with you there. What's one of the things that really excites you moving forward about your industry or your business?
One thing I'm really excited about is seeing the growth of the leadership team. Like I have this guy Armand, and I hired him. He was working as a cook at Chipotle, and he came in and just really great dude, and just seeing him grow as a person. Like our other leader, we have two leaders now, and so we have the production leader and then the sales leader. I forgot what I called them: sales manager, production manager. She came in with more experience, so she kind of knew everything that was going on. So it's exciting seeing her apply all that stuff and getting excited about the things that she's doing, but also just seeing Armand grow as a person and just really kind of taking this leadership role. I think that's just really cool to see, and it just shows that that whole idea that you're going to bring these people into your business or your community culture, whatever you want to call it, and help them grow as individuals. It's cool to say, but it's like, are we really doing that? And I've had those meetings with them. I was like, we talk about this shit all the time, but are we really helping people grow? Are we really helping people get better as humans? Like, because one of the things we say to, like, for example, we have this one guy, he doesn't want to work here for the rest of his life. He wants to be in a band and be a rock star and do all that stuff. So like, I took him to the side and we had a little one-on-one, and I said, man, I'm just really excited for the day that you come and say, hey, I gotta quit because my band's going on tour and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I just want them to know, like, it doesn't matter how long you're here. I mean, I want people here forever if they want to do that. But like, if you're only here for 6 months or something, like, I want you to be better when you leave, So like, it's exciting to see stuff like that happening, I don't think a lot of people really give a shit about that stuff. I mean, none of the people that work for me have ever experienced anything like that. I have 13, 14 people on my team now. So
I think most people haven't, right? Because
I know I
most
didn't.
people just have jobs, not careers, not people that want to pour into them and support them.
Yeah.
It's definitely a differentiator, right? And that's something that I learned as well. It's just, you gotta pour into your team, support them, let them grow, and that will grow the business.
Yeah.
What are some of the, well, let's bring up a California thing. Okay.
Fuck that place.
Yeah, no shit. So you had one location in California.
Yeah.
How challenging and difficult is it to operate a business in California?
Well,
So like some examples.
we left California, so
No, I know.
we're in.
You had
we had one. Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't really consider myself being super educated on all the ins and outs of stuff. I do know that obviously California is very expensive, and it's hard to talk about this stuff because I don't want to say things that I regurgitated that I heard other people say, but I heard all these different things about things they were talking about doing with taxes and like taxing you forever when you leave and all this kind of shit, and California sales tax and all this stuff. And I have like this little HR service that helps me with the manuals, and like the California manual is like 3 times the size of the Nevada one. The minimum wage is way higher over there. Obviously, the living expenses are much higher. So I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but I'm not complaining as in I don't want to pay these people more. Yeah. But I mean, it's just, as a small business that's, we're still in this like crazy growth phase. So we're not really profitable. I mean, I'm focused this year to really actually see real profits, that whole thing, looking at the top line number and saying, I made this much, but you really didn't make jack shit. Like, that's kind of where we've been, or we've been the opposite. We lost money, but I was expecting that. I was investing a lot of my own money into the business. So I knew that we were going to come up negative, but they kept raising the minimum wage like kind of rapidly over there. Like, I remember it was $14 and then it went up to $16. And I was like, I just don't know if we can really afford this. And I wanted to get out of California because I was paying like $3,300 a month for this like little back house, and now I'm paying $1,900 a month for a bigger house with a pool and shit. And it's like, you know, it's not a nice house, but it's like I'd rather spend less money, you know. Like,
Yeah.
so, but I don't know. There's just a lot of things like even outside of business, like with California, like you can't get a concealed carry permit. And I know that's not really what this show is about, but like
Okay.
I wanna protect myself if shit goes down, you know. And like in California, it was just like you can't really do that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of things.
No,
I
that's a
just didn't
valid
like it.
concern because think about it. If you're a business owner that handles a lot of cash, right? Someone comes in, they could rob you no problem.
Yeah.
That absolutely impacts the business.
Yeah. So um we had the two locations for a little while, and then just after a while, I was like, I just need to get out of this. Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
I don't blame you. So, if there was, let's say, a piece of advice that you could leave any and all of our listeners, what would that be when it comes to operating a business?
Uh, that's hard because I always feel like everybody's further ahead than me, you know. So I'm like, what am I going to tell them? But one thing I believe that I did well, and I may be doing it better than other companies that are and entrepreneurs that are further along is building community around your brand. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have going for us right now is that we were lucky to start in that way. Like we didn't intend to start as a community. Well, we didn't intend to start as a business. We started as a community thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that really helped us because we were building community right from the very beginning.
Yep.
And then as we grew and just there was a little phase where it was like mainly just focused on the business, and I wasn't focused that much on the community stuff. But I realized like that's what got us here. So you know, a lot of the content we put out is educational in nature, and trying to, you know, help people learn different techniques and things like that. And I do the same thing with like email marketing. Like we don't we almost never send anything about like you sign up to newsletters and it's like every newsletter you get, it's like 10% off, two for one, BOGO shit, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same shit every time. But I'll send like personal development stuff. I'll send like, you know, different techniques and all this kind of things. So it's all about really trying to give back to the community. And I think that's been really beneficial for us because it's like you're creating a brand that people want to represent, you know, and people want to be a part of. And we see that on our social media. Like people always share stuff and they talk about, you know, how much they like our brand and all this. And a lot of it is also about, in addition to that, it's like the stuff that we learn in terms of in terms of really serving the customers. You know, you're not trying to make this sort of transactional thing like you give me this and I'll give you that, which is obviously that's business, but we want them to have an experience that they want to tell people about. And so I think we've done a pretty good job at that, given like how much people share stuff on social media, like when they get their package and stuff. And I think it has a lot to do with building the community around your brand.
Dude, I love it. That's a huge key. All right. So, where can people find you if they need any type of sticker done? Like, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You could just go to machinestudio.com and everything's on there. That's the best place to get in touch with the business.
And if they want to follow you and be part of the community,
at Machine Studio on Instagram and TikTok, those are the most active. Yeah, we're on Twitter, and YouTube channel is pretty good. I mean, it's not like one of our main things, but you can find us Machine Studio on YouTube and Twitter also. But Instagram and TikTok are the biggest places. And then if you go to machinestudio.com and you sign up for the newsletter, you might like some of that shit. If you don't, unsubscribe, and I won't send you anything ever again. You know.
There you go. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully I'll see you soon at a summit.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you. Thanks, man.